Hello friends, and welcome back to another video. I'm sorry that this is now the second video where I look busted, but I know you guys will forgive me. We're going to put on a clay mask and we're going to tell a story time tonight. So if you like this kind of content, be sure that if you haven't already that you do subscribe. Also, while you're down there subscribing, be sure that you have your notification bell turned on for all of my notifications so that you get to see all of my content. I'm going to do much blabbing today. Storytime Thursday. Let's go ahead and get into the video. 2, 3, let's switch this up. I'm gonna go in with the Found Beauty. This is the Amazonian clay red clay mask. The other day in Tuesday's video, I told you guys that every Sunday, if you join my lives, I'm going to have lives Friday, Saturday, and Sunday starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But more specifically, if you join Sunday's lives that we have, you'll get to vote on the next week's video, storytime video. And this week you guys wanted a stalker story, and this week's stalker story is going to be more of different relationships that ended due to my stalker for some reason. I did plan on having a guest. However, she's not able to get approval from the company she works for to be in the video. They are very picky about social media and what you post, and so her boss was just not completely down with her being in the video today. But I will have a voice note that will be in this video at the end, so stay tuned for that. I will have to alter the sound a little bit just so nobody can figure out who she is, if that makes sense. But I do have a voice note from someone who was involved in this situation. So today we're going to talk about specific relationships that Waldo ended for me. Not relationships that were ended because of Wanda. So I have 5 relationships that ended just because of Wanda alone. If that is something that you guys want to hear, please feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. The first 2 friendships that ended consecutively back to back, so they ended at the same time. These 2 people took Waldo's side at the very beginning of the Waldo situation. And the really sad fact is that stalkers are very manipulative and they know what they're doing. Most of them have been doing it a long time. It's hardly ever that you're the very first victim of a stalker. I most definitely was not Waldo's first victim in any sense of the word. He had been stalking for many years, like 30 years before I even knew of Waldo. When he entered my life, as most of you guys know, I was working at a movie theater in my hometown and I was a kid. One of my good friends at the time, I wouldn't say necessarily my best friend, but she and I were very close. I told you guys that the boss that I worked with, there is a story time that we still have to tell involving him, but he is one of the reasons that Waldo was getting so much information. So he acted like he was protecting me, but there's more to that story, and we will tell that one day if you guys want that story, which I'm sure you guys do. But there's more to that. Her boyfriend at the time, who became one of my really good friends, like even after they broke up, we were all really good friends. We were in the same friend group. Waldo had become very prominent in my life, and my boss at that movie theater, he had started telling people that Waldo was not a stalker, that I had came to Waldo interested and said I was interested in Waldo, and that, you know, once Waldo started to show interest in me, I then chickened out. I was a 16, 17-year-old child. I had no interest in Waldo, but this grown man was telling people that I did. Long story short, like I said, my boss is telling all of these people in my life, Morgan, you know, was interested in Waldo, and, you know, he started to come towards her and like started to actually pursue her, and then she chickened out. Well, there was 2 people who believed this story, one of which was my best friend and one of which was her boyfriend. They believed that no matter what I said, they wouldn't believe me. They were gung-ho on believing that I was interested in a 60-year-old man. So that was the first 2 relationships that ended because they thought that I was interested in this man. The next person was actually a family member. There's hardly anyone in my life that was in my life at that time that doesn't know who Waldo is. This in particular family member of mine, who I have absolutely to this day still have not spoke to, was living with me around this time. And sorry guys, I seen a shadow from the microphone, so I moved it. He needed a place to stay during this time, and I let him live with me in my townhouse, which you guys have heard about. He only lived with me for maybe a month and a half, and he had started dating a friend that we have a big story time left to tell about. And she and I have not spoke. I do know that she follows this channel. I do know that she watches my videos. And if you do see this, which I'm sure you will, and you know why, I forgive you for me, but I ain't forgotten nothing. But anyways, my family member starts dating this girl. Something happened that I have to leave out because I have to tell a story for you guys to get that. But something happened very big, and she and I quit talking. Well, when she and I quit talking, she started working with Waldo, giving him information, letting him know where I'd moved to, because after she and I cut ties, at this point, my family member and her were living together, but they had become good friends with Waldo and Wanda, which, if you watch these story times, you know, was Wanda's girlfriend for many, many years. They started giving Waldo and Wanda all kinds of information. My new address, what kind of car I had bought and was driving at that time, who I was dating, where he worked, where he was from, where his mother lived. All kinds of shit, which I later found out at a court date, Waldo spilled the beans on them like that to try to keep his ass out of trouble. So when I found all of this out, this was more of a situation where I cut ties with this family member, because you have to remember that during this whole time of them telling and feeding Waldo info, I'm still going to Thanksgiving with this family member. I'm still, like, he's bringing her, me and her have no life together. Like, we're not talking, but he and I are still family. And he's finding out information through just down the line of family members. And they were feeding every bit of that to Waldo. Fun fact, for $20. So every bit of information that they would give Waldo, Waldo would give them $20 fucking. Can you imagine giving someone life-threatening information on a family member for $20? I still to this day cannot even believe that, but facts are facts. So that is the second bit of people, which I still do not talk to. The next three people are people that Waldo himself manipulated into stop talking to me. One of them, for a very short period of time, me and her actually lived in the house where Waldo lived in our attic for a long period of time. But the other two people, we stopped talking for about 5 years because of all this. But basically, long story short, I found out what he had lied and manipulated. There's a big portion that I have to cut out because it's a whole story time that's coming up. But I had done something really bad, and in the moment, I didn't know what I was doing was bad because there was information that I didn't know. You guys, I'll probably end up giving you guys the option to hear this in particular story next week. But just know I did something bad to a friend of mine that in the moment I didn't know I was doing bad. Well, when this happened, it gave Waldo a window to manipulate people around me. And the three people that I was hanging out with the most, he did that. So the girl that I ended up living with, another girl that I was friends with, and our gay friend who I love more than life. Me and him are very close today, but we stopped talking for about 5 years over all of this. But he manipulated all three of them. Girl who moved in with me in the house where Waldo lived in our attic. Waldo had actually started stalking her pretty much full time. Now, Waldo did this with several different friends, and this started to get her extremely irritated that he started stalking her. So one day she pulled up to a Goodwill and she seen him in the parking lot. She seen him follow her in the parking lot. And so she got out of her car and she walked over to his truck, which I've showed you guys a picture of his truck before. This is what it looks like, or looked like rather. She walks over to the window and she knocks on it and she says, "Why are you following me? Why are you doing this?" And he says, "I'm just making sure that you're okay after this happened." Now keep in mind, this is after all this had happened and my friends were all super pissed at me, even though I had no idea that this was a thing. You just gotta keep all this in mind. I know it's confusing, but just keep in mind I had done something bad and a lot of my friends were really upset with me, even though I had no idea I did anything wrong. So she says, "Well, we've talked to Morgan and now we realize that she had no idea that that was a situation and blah, blah, blah." And he then says, "Yes, she did. She knew because I overheard a phone call conversation that she had with so-and-so." And so the girl that I moved in with ran and told 2 other people from my friend group, and they were all pissed off at me again. So she stopped talking to me for about a month until I finally spoke with her and I was like, "Hey, that literally never happened." And she talked to the other person who Waldo claimed I talked to and he heard me on the phone with. And she was like, "That conversation literally never happened." So that one ended really quickly. The other 2, however, is different. And fun fact, they were involved with Waldo and Wanda for a long time. There's other things that come out of that whole can of beans that, again, you guys will learn later. But that's a whole other separate situation. Now, the very last one that I want to tell you guys about, there are others, but they're just like the typical, like, all the other situations were people who had just had enough and just couldn't take it and just left and just were like, "Hey, I can't be your friend no more," or "Hey, I can't date you anymore because of this," and they just walked away. Many people, but these are the ones where people in my life were manipulated or whatever into not being my friend or whatever. But the very last one was about a guy that I was talking to. And we were in the talking stage, about to be in a more serious stage. So you know that stage where you've been talking to someone for quite a long time and you're in that weird spot of where one of you is about to say "I love you." It's like the weeble wobble of who's it going to be. We were in that stage, and I knew that there was something off about this guy, which was what was keeping me from saying "I love you." I just knew that there was something off about him, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And also at this time, it was right before me and Chris had really started talking, and I was just way more interested in him. So I just wasn't interested in this guy anymore. And so I started to really kind of very kindly push him away, and just, I'm more of the person, like, if I am not interested in you, I will just ignore you instead of telling you straight up, because I don't want to hurt your feelings. And so that's very much the vibe that I was putting off, because I loved Chris so much, and I knew Chris cared about me, and Chris just understood me in ways that no other guy had. So when Chris came into the picture, there was just no hope for any other guy. And I just didn't know how to let this guy down. So instead of doing that, I kind of started ignoring him. When this started happening, he took it upon himself to respond to a message on Facebook that Waldo had sent him from about 6 months prior. And he said, "Hey, I know where Morgan moved to, and I know the guy that she started talking to, and I'm willing to give you all of this information. And the person that you're going to hear a voice note from tonight is his ex-girlfriend. And there's going to be a little bit cut out because I'm going to tell you, this is one of the last stalker stories that you guys are going to hear. There's like 3 or 4 more. I was going through my journals and I found 2 other stalker stories that I'm probably going to save for a while. Just because there's so many other little stories that involve other things that I really want to tell first. It just makes the stories easier to tell, like this one here. There's so many little stories that I haven't told you guys, so it made it a lot harder for me to explain situations. It makes it easier if I tell those smaller stories first. That way when I go to tell you guys these bigger ones, I can say that time when this happened or whatever. But yeah, you all should have a voice note from the ex-girlfriend of this guy right now. Okay, so it's probably going to be some weird sound right now, y'all, but I'm in my car about to go into work. I just wanted to say that I am not going to cut out my ex's real name, and I am not going to cut out my stalker's real name because I just don't feel like it, and they both hurt me. So here is the voice memo.
When I met Daniel, we met at a bar one night, and we started dating. He immediately had told me that he had dated you before me, and I was like, oh my God, how is she, blah, 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 and he immediately, girl, right off the bat told me that you was nuts, that you was crazy, you were psychotic, and he obviously used your addiction against you and all this, and I just couldn't believe it. I was literally so shocked. And very soon after that, he invited me to who he told me was his Uncle Frank's house, who I now know was your stalker. And I went over there, and immediately after I got there, I mean, walking through the door, this man starts talking about how he had been following you around halls all day, and you know, where all you went and how long you was in there and the new car that you was driving and all of this. And I was like, why is he following her around for? And Daniel was like, baby, you just don't understand. She is absolutely teetotally crazy. And I said, what? What do you mean she's crazy? That is not the Morgan I remember. And girl, they manipulated me so hard, especially Wilma, which, you know, I know you want to tell stories about, you know, all the shit that she pulled, but yeah, she was a big heavy hitter on manipulating me and getting me to stick around and having me feel sorry for her crazy ass daughters and all this and watching her grandkids. But eventually I started to put 2 and 2 together. And as you know, one night, Daniel left his phone in the bed, and I picked it up and went through it, and I seen messages between him and Frank talking about how, you know, they had pulled one over on me and the wool had been pulled over my eyes, and, you know, that they were going to be able to continue to stalk you. Frank was really excited about that. And all Daniel cared about was the money that Frank was paying him to follow you around. And that's when I found out that that was Daniel's full-time job. And the rest is history. You know, I called the police and they informed you, and I won't say no more because I know you want to tell that story.
All of those lies that both Waldo and my ex told her. And when she finally found out, she completely left him. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Again, I'm sorry that we couldn't call her Misty on camera. She really wanted to be, but we don't want her to lose her big girl job. She has a very, very good career, and we do not want her to lose it over a story time. But thanks, everybody say thanks to Misty down in the comment section for leaving that voice note. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Remember that if you would like to vote on weekly story times, be sure to join us live on Sundays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, if you would be interested in being a moderator, please let me know down in the comment section below by just saying I would like to be a moderator. Please do note that if you are a moderator, I would need you to be in at least one of the lives that I have on Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays. We start those at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until everybody's done. They usually last about an hour or more long. Be sure that you do subscribe before you leave if you have not subscribed already, and turn your notification bell on for all of the notifications so you're notified when I upload new content. That you do go and follow me on social social media, in particular TikTok. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers over there, and we're not far off. So if you would like to, go over there and follow me at MorganShay33. I will have it here on the screen as well. And you guys, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it so much. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. And until the very next time. Bye, guys. Whew.